Okay, this is an introduction to basic sentence structure. If you want to be able to write sentences in English well, you need to be able to join them together. Many students have some real trouble with this. So let me introduce you to the three basic ways in which you might join sentences together. The first is small words like but and and. The second is the middle group, which are words like although and because. And the third group are the words that come at the beginning of sentences, like however and for example. Now, you may think to yourself, well, I know how to use those words. And if you're right, you should be able to correct these sentences. Have a look and see if you can see the mistakes. Pause the recording now and see if you can figure out what's wrong with these two sentences. The answer is that the first sentence makes the most common mistake in sentence structure of all. The two parts of the sentence, I like tea and I don't like coffee, are joined with a comma. This is not correct. You cannot join two parts of a sentence together with a comma. You must always use a joining word. In this case, the two parts of the sentence, I like tea, I don't like coffee, are using contrast. So we need a contrasting joining word. A contrasting joining word might be but. I like tea, comma, but I don't like coffee. This would be correct. So in the second sentence, we can see that the writer has decided to use but. However, but is a word from the first group of joining words. In order to use but correctly, you have to understand the pattern. But is used after a comma. It cannot be used after a full stop. This is incorrect. This is correct. I like tea, comma, but I don't like coffee. So here are two more sentences. Again, do you already know how to use these words correctly? The two sentences are the same as before. I like tea, I don't like coffee, but the joining words are different. Pause the recording now. Do you know what's wrong? So what's wrong? In the first example, the writer has actually used two joining words to connect two parts of the sentence, and this is not correct. If you have two parts of a sentence, you only need one joining word, so we must cut one of these two words. Although I like tea, I don't like coffee is okay. I like tea, but I don't like coffee is okay. So let's just cut although. In the second example, we can see again the writer has chosen a good joining word but used it incorrectly. I like tea, however, is actually used with a full stop. This is a number 3. So it must be used after a full stop. I like tea. However, comma, I don't like coffee. Okay, so to summarize, we've mentioned that there are many ways that we could join these two sentences together. We've agreed that the two sentences are contrasting. I like tea. I don't like coffee. So we need to join these two sentences together with a contrasting joining word. And we've mentioned 3 contrasting joining words that would do the job. We could use but. I like tea, comma, but I don't like coffee. We could use although. I like tea, although I don't like coffee. In this case, if it went in the middle, there would be no commas. And finally, we could join these two sentences together using however. But if we used however, we would need to put a full stop. I like tea. However, I don't like coffee. So what's different about our three words? Why are but, although, and however in three different groups? The difference is in the pattern that you use when you put them in the sentence. Group 1, they all come in the middle of a sentence and they all use a comma. Group 2, there are two different ways to use this, and I'll explain what those two ways are in a minute. Group 3, the difference is they always use a full stop and a comma. If you learn these three patterns and the words that go in these three groups, you'll always be able to write a good English sentence. Let's review what we've learned so far. There are three basic joining word groups. These are the words that I used to describe the three groups, but it's fine if you just remember them as group 1, 2 and 3. Let's look at group 1 first. Let's take a look at group 1. Group 1 always come in the middle of the sentence, and they always come after a comma. It's easy to remember group 1 because group 1 only has 7 joining words, and this word fanboys is an easy way to remember them. The F stands for for, and, nor, but, or, yet, so. Fanboys. For, and, nor, but, or, yet, so. As I mentioned earlier, Group 2 has two patterns that you can follow. The first pattern, the joining word goes in the middle, and the second pattern, the joining word goes at the beginning with a comma in the middle. I like tea, although I don't like coffee. Although I like tea, I don't like coffee. In the first pattern, there are no commas. In the second pattern, there is a comma in the middle. If you can remember these two patterns, you will be able to use Group 2 words. Group 2 words include since and because and many others. And finally, Group 3. Group 3 are special. Unlike Group 1 and 2, which join sentences together, Group 3 links sentences together without actually joining them. The full stop is still there, but these ideas are linked together. I like tea. However, I don't like coffee. These ideas are linked, and this word shows that they are linked. Let's review. Look at these two sentences and pause the recording now. Can you see any mistakes in these sentences? The first sentence is wrong. This sentence is using a Group 1 word, but, one of the fanboys words, but it's using it after a full stop in the middle of the sentence. This is not correct. If you want to use fanboys, number one, group 1 words, then you must use a comma and a small b. The second sentence is actually correct. Because is a group 2 word, and group 2 words can be used at the beginning of a sentence with a comma in the middle. A group 2 word can also be used in the middle of the sentence though. If we put because in the middle of the sentence, how would the sentence read? Stop the video now and have a think about it. So here is the second sentence. In this sentence, you can see that the pattern has changed quite a lot. So what's happened? First of all, you can see that because has moved from the first position to the middle position. And secondly, you can see that the comma has disappeared. No commas in the second pattern. The other thing that's changed is that the I lived near Tokyo, which is connected to because in the first sentence, has also moved. This is very important. You must move the part of the sentence that's connected to because along with the because. So in the second sentence, you can see that it's still saying because I lived near Tokyo, because I lived near there. These must stay connected together in both patterns. That's because this is the reason, this is the cause of this result. Why did I used to go there? Why? Because I lived near Tokyo. And in the second sentence it's still the same. Why did I used to go to Tokyo? Because I lived near there. And finally, you also might have noticed that this word has changed. Because I lived near there, because I lived near Tokyo. Why is that changed? Well, that's because when one gives information, usually you need to say the proper name of the place first, and then you can use there to replace it second. So even though we've swapped these two parts of the sentences around, we do need to keep the Tokyo first, and we need to keep the there second. So Tokyo stays in the first position, and there stays in the second position. To finish off, why don't you go online and search for pages that might help you understand this grammar point better. EnglishClub.com has a good page on coordinating conjunctions, which is group 1, and there's also a page on subordinating conjunctions, which is group 2. Why don't you go and check it out, and you'll see that the information is very similar to what I've given you already. Alternately, go and have a look at onelanguage.com or something similar. In this one, you can see that there are some example sentences that you have to join together using and, but, or, because, or so. This would be very useful to practice what we've talked about. Good luck. I hope this video has been useful.